For relatively strong topspin balls that easily go out of bounds, we are suited to use this pushing blocking technique. If we are to use this pushing technique, everyone should know how to use it. Catch the rising stage, catch a rising stage, and then push it out. Between this push and flick, as he just mentioned, what part is used for a push? Using the whole arm is a push. What part is used for a flick? Using the fingers and wrist is a flick. A push is at the rising stage, borrowing power and using the arm to press it out. Let everyone watch me push one, including when serving me this small left side topspin. This can all be pushed. You just saw it. This process of pushing. First, look, from my rising stage, from my backswing to loading power, to the final moment of execution. My wrist did not execute this. Snapping the racket head motion. What am I just doing? Look, when I go out. Look, I'll pause it for you guys. I'll pause it for you guys. Everyone, right now, what is the state of my wrist? Actually, it's still opened outward, right? Abducted. Actually, it's still opened from open to open. And then, maintaining an open racket state to do what? To make a forward impact. Make a forward impact on this ball. Then what is the first purpose of this push? The opponent's topspin is too strong to prevent us from using the wrist and getting jammed by the ball, ruining the ball. It's to improve stability. Secondly, what is it for? We borrow the power of his topspin ball. And then on the upper part. Don't forget, I was standing here pushing. If it's a normal match for me, I would also have the upper body pressing the center of gravity. Look, I also have a downward pressing force from borrowing his topspin power, the returned ball. Hey, this ball easily becomes sinking heavy downward trajectory. The pushed ball tends to be quite sinking. Yes, and the speed of the push will be relatively fast. Let everyone take a look. Look at this ball. Even though I didn't deliberately apply any power, but the speed of this ball is still quite fast. Did everyone see that? You get ready. Look, one more. I use my body to borrow his power, pressing forward like that. Then look, if I push it over, you touch one back for me. Everyone, look. Look, if he touches it normally, look what happens to this ball. If he touches it normally, what happens to this ball? It will hit the net. Did you see that? If he touches it normally, this ball will hit the net. Do you know why this ball hits the net? Because this ball comes over very sinking. It's quite sinking. Why is it sinking? First, we were catching the rising stage, and in the process of us pushing, with our body center of gravity pressing down, this ball, what is the direction of the motion? It feels like pressing forward and downward. A bit of pressing forward and downward. If I press forward and downward, you block one for me. You block one here. If we make it obvious, from high to low. Even if I just hit from high to low. When this ball hits the racket, what happens? Look. It will hit the net, see? It will hit the net, right? Actually, the flick shares the same principle. Right, it doesn't have much of an arc. Including when I use the penhold grip to flick. Look, it's the same. My penhold is the same. Look. See that? With a flick, the ball directly touches and it drops downward, it sinks downward. See that? Because you are in a process of pressing the arc, a back to front and even slightly forward downward then process. You give the ball a slightly downward force. Inevitably, this ball will sink a bit. So the threat of a pushed ball, first, lies in its speed. When the opponent sees a fast ball, many amateur will only exhibit one problem. The faster the ball, the more they touch, right? The more it hits the net. Opponent, if he serves a small lift like this, small side topspin. Look, this kind of ball is also easy to push. Look, also easy to push. This kind of ball is all the same. What does this ball mainly target? The opponent's topspin serve, which is easy to borrow power from. It's not about where his side spin can curve to. If the side spin he serves is very strong, let me tell you what happens when I receive it. If it's heavy side spin and not heavy topspin, I will hit the net. Why will I hit the net? He doesn't have that much topspin. When I generate power forward and downward, this ball will easily hit the net, right? I can't borrow his spin, and it's not a pure topspin. The ball doesn't surge forward, so I can't borrow his power I will easily hit the net. So this is aimed at what the opponent develops during the match. Look, this kind of ball that surges forward regardless of whether the opponent serves left or right side topspin, since it's primarily topspin, with side spin as secondary, we can always push it. can always push it. Did you see, friends? Look, he can serve casually. As long as it's primarily topspin. Surging up, look, can push them all. If he serves a left side spin, it's also, look, you can also push. You can push them all. But look at this kind of ball. If I forcefully try to flick it, I will easily, look, encounter this situation. The moment I pull my wrist back, this ball surges and jumps, becoming like this. Once my wrist opens, if I use my wrist, the ball surges and jams fly off. See that, friends? This situation will occur. I try to flick with my wrist. The ball jams me, the ball surges. Look, there's no way, friends. So look, the flick and the push. That's the difference between them. Let me use the pen hold to show you again. It's equivalent to keeping your wrist abducted, keeping it abducted all the time. Keeping it abducted from the beginning. And then, use your center of gravity to push forward. Footwork moving forward, plus the power of the center of gravity at the rising stage. Press down the topspin and the arc of this ball. Press it forward and downward. Look. Do you feel this sensation? Then you receive another one. Look, this ball is very fast and jamming. If you just touch it, so how can it cross the net? Add a bit of friction, add a bit of arc. Look, if he wants to just graze it to get it on the table. Look at this ball. Look, what problem will he face? It's very fast. And he still can't do what? Can't pull the hand back. What happens when he pulls his hand back? It goes to the side edges off. It goes to the side, right? Look. And then if he grazes it, look, this ball really sinks, dives down a bit. Everyone, look. If he grazes the ball over, do a small counter drive. Pen hold is exactly the same as yours. Look. My bad. Right? Look, press it out, press the upper part. Press it, press the upper part. Understand? Did you catch this feeling? He served a topspin ball. After we borrow the power and push it like this, it might create a relatively passive situation because he cannot predict the depth of the return well.